Here's our belt work. Good 2 questions, looks like, but 3, I guess. There's our answers for the bell work. That's pretty good. And here's our objective for this lesson. I can calculate mean, median, mode, and range. Take 30 seconds and copy that down, please. A little vocabulary on this stuff. We got mean. It's just also known as the average. So, yeah, just add all the numbers up and divide it, answer like sum by however many numbers there are. It's the sum of the numbers divided by the number of numbers. That's the way I like to put it, but whatever. The median is you have to put the numbers in order from smallest to largest or largest to smallest. It's just the number right in the middle. If there's 2 numbers in the middle, you got to find the average of those 2, or the mean of the 2 numbers. So just add them together, divide by 2. Just throw it away. Thank you. The mode is the number that appears the most often. And yes, it can be more than one value. Sometimes they all appear the same amount, which is usually once if that happens. In that case, we would say that there is none. And then the range, you just take the biggest number and subtract the smallest number. That tells us the range. How big the difference is between those 2 values. And it also tells us, well, I guess how far apart they are, but every other value should be between those. And so it kind of tells us the span is another way to put it of the data. So mean, median, mode, and range on this one, 1 through 4. Let's start with the mean, I guess, on this one, okay? So to find the mean, we take all of these numbers. See if I can kind of cheat a little bit on this one. Let's do this. And all I'm going to do is add these together. 8 plus 15, plus 9 or plus 7, plus 4, plus 5, plus 9. And then I'm going to divide that all by, let's see how many numbers is that, 3, 6, 7 numbers right there. And when I put this into the calculator, it will tell me the answer. So that's what I'm going to do. I know some of you guys can do that in your head, and that's good. But I'm not feeling it right now, so I'm not going to. So I add those together, and just in adding the numerator, all those numbers in the numerator together, I got 57. And then with the denominator of 7, so divided by 7, I get 8.142857143. I'm just going to round that to the nearest tenth. So I would say in this case that the mean is approximately 8.1-ish. Okay, now it should specify on the assignment where it wants you to round, but I believe it's the 10th anyway, so 8.1 right here. Now we want the median. Well, to find the median, we need these numbers in order from least to greatest. So I would look at this one. I see, at least from what I can see, 4 is the least. Then 5 is the next least, so we use these 2 up. And it appears that 7 is the next least. And then 8. And then there's 2 9s. And then the 15. And that, here's the 2 9s, the 8 and the 15. We use them all up. But I want the middle number, right? So there's a couple ways to do this. I mean, you could, well, just kind of find, however you find the middle is up to you. But for me, I'd say, well, you got these 2 on the outside. And it's not that they cancel each other out. They just help us to move our way towards the middle. And then the 5 and 9, yeah, that would be moving more towards the middle. And then the 7 and 9 right there. But what number is left over? There's only one number left over. Right in the middle here is 8. And since I already put that in order from least to greatest, our median here is 8. Now this is one of those scenarios where there was one number, only one number right in the middle. But again, if there were 2 numbers, I'd have to add those 2 together and divide that value by 2, which we will see. The mode. And having these in order from least to greatest kind of should tell us the mode right away. Only the 9s happen more than once. So in this case, 9 is the mode. It's the most often occurring one. Or some. It can be more than one. Well, then we need the range. To find the range, we take the biggest of the values, which is 15, and subtract the smallest of the values, which is 4, and that is 11. Mean, median, mode, range. Bam. Now these values, like if you started to analyze the information, depending on what it is, we don't know what this is here. Test scores, IQ, who knows? Okay? But in any case, based on your results here, then usually people make conclusions. And just so you understand, though, sometimes conclusions can be manipulated if the data isn't already manipulated. So be careful on that stuff, especially on Earth Day, which is today. We want the mean, median, mode, and range on these ones. So we just kind of go in there. And I don't really need to relist these values for this one because they're already listed for me up there at the top. So I'm just going to add all these. So I'm putting a plus sign in between these here. Now, while you're welcome to do this in your head if you'd like. It's a little bit early for me right now, so I'm going to just do it in the calculator. So I go to my calculator, and you do have to be careful because I say you, but I really mean me. I got to be careful because sometimes I either type in the wrong number or I miss a number. So I got to be careful. Plus 5.3, plus 5.7, plus 4.9. Enter, and it gives me the sum of 47.5. Okay, so that's the sum that I got. And then for the mean, which is the average, we're going to take that sum and divide it by however many numbers there are. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 9 numbers right there. So divided by 9. So I take 47.5, divided by 9 in my calculator, because I can't do that in my head. And it gives me 5.27 repeating. So I'm just going to round that to the nearest tenth and make that 5.3. Okay. So that would be our mean, or the average. Now for the median, and some students still get this a little mixed up, is like, well, we already have a list of numbers and that looks great, but if we want to find the median, we need to actually change the order of these. I like to do it from least to greatest. Some students like to say greatest to least. It doesn't really matter as long as they're in order from one of those two. So I say least to greatest for me, and I see looks like 4.8 is the smallest of these. So 4.8. Put that right there. I give myself enough space. So 4.9 is next, but I see 3 of those. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, that looks correct to me. 5.3, 2 times. Yeah, twice right there for 5.7. And then 6.0. Now, I was underlining those as we went through them so that I knew that I didn't miss any values, because I say you guys shouldn't do it, but I do it. So that's why I have to make sure that I don't miss any of those. That's how I keep track of them. Some people actually just cross them out either 2. It's up to you, whatever. Okay, so we got to find the middle of these values. So I'd say, let's start, I say if you look at the very ends of the values, because I'm just looking for the middle here. I say this 4.8 kind of matches the 6.0 on the end. And so I just keep moving inwards. This number kind of matches or cancels out that value. And then this 4.9 with that 5.7. And then this 4.9 with the 5.3. And I'm left with one final number right here in the middle there, 5.3. So that would be considered our median. It's nice when there's one value right in the middle because we don't really have to do any work with it. But again, if there was 2 values right there in the middle, I'd have to add those 2 values and divide by 2, which is an average of 2 values. Next up, we got to find the number that occurs the most, which is the mode. Now be careful because there are 3 different numbers that happen multiple times, but only one of them happens more than the others. And I see that that's this 4.9 right here, okay? So, when I say 4.9, that would be our mode, the number that occurs the most. Well, what about the ones that occur 2 times? Well, that's not the most. 3 times here with 4.9 is the most. And then finally, our range. The range is simply taking the largest number here, 6.0, and then subtracting the smallest value, which is 4.8. Of course, you could use a calculator to do this if you'd like. I get 1.2 when I subtract those. So that's a range of 1.2. Ranges are significant because it'll tell you how wide the values are, which is kind of how we can tell if there is any type of association on this stuff, okay? Now on this one, you see that the mean and median match, which is actually kind of rare. It's pretty rare. But these are what we call measures of center. Same with mode. Mode is considered a measure of center. And you can see though that if these values were different, that it would be easy to manipulate people's brains and tell them certain things based on certain values here. Okay? So you'd have to be careful, because if you think that this doesn't happen in real life, then you'd be, well, we would worry about you, especially when you go to vote. Find the mean, median, mode, and range with this stuff. So let's find, it says the mean first. So let's list all these values. I'll put this information here on the right. And we need to add all the values together, right? So the first one there, 271. And then the next one, 221. See if I can fit this in. 234 is next. And then 240. And 271. And 234. I do need more space, don't I? That's a little better. 234, and then 213. And then finally 253. Kind of barely fit that in there. But we do need to add all these values together. A little bit more addition than that last one. And we're going to divide this by however many numbers there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 numbers. So we have an even number of numbers, which means that when we look for the median, here in a moment, there will be two numbers right in the middle. Okay, so if you have an odd number of numbers, then it's just whatever number from the list is right in the middle. But if it's even, then it's two values, and that's okay. So I'm going to add these numbers together and see what I get from my numerator. Of course, the denominator is going to stay the same. So 271 plus the rest of them. Yeah, I got 1,937. And we're going to divide that by 8. Divided by 8, I get 242.125. 242.125. I'm just going to round that to the nearest tenth again. So our mean is 242.1. Now I need the median. So I'm going to list all the numbers in order from least to greatest. And so let's see, what's my smallest value? 213, it looks like. And then next up, 221, it appears. I'm putting a little space between these in case I need to fit one in that I miss, because I do that from time to time. And then it looks like 234, but 234 happens twice. 234, 234. So that's 4 of the values, and then 240, it appears. 240. And then 253, it looks like. And then 271 twice. I think that's all 8 values. You can put commas between those if you'd like, but I'm not going to. Okay, because I got enough space between these. Well, what number is right in the middle? Well, we got to look at these, and again, I just kind of go to the outsides and essentially cancel those out, moving my way inwards till I find the middle. 234, 253. So it looks like the middle would be these two numbers. So to find the median then, I'm going to take those two numbers, 234 and 240. And remember, we're finding the mean of these two, or the average of them. So I'm going to add those two together and just divide that value by 2, whatever it is. So it looks like that's 474. And we're going to divide that by 2, which would be 237 as our median. Now, if that average stuff right here doesn't work for you, you could always just say, well, these two numbers, how far apart are they, right? Well, they are 6 apart. So you just divide 6 by 2, because we're looking for the value that's right smack in the middle of this two values. And so you say, well, that's 3 up or 3 down, however you want to look at it. And so 3 up from there would be 237. It's the same answer you would get, just a different way to do it. That's all. Now for the mode, and we just listed these all in order from least to greatest. And I see that there's two 234s and two 271s. So we have two modes for this one, 234 and also 271. Now if by chance one of the values had happened 3 times and there were no others, then the 3 would be the most instead of any of the 2s. Keep that in mind because it does happen from time to time. Now for the range, where we take the biggest of the values, which is 271, and the smallest of the values, which is 213, and I'm just going to subtract these out to find my range there. Whoops. So let's see, 1 minus 3, I make that 11. Borrow from the 7, that's 8. 6 minus 1 is 5. There we go, 58. So the range, the span from the smallest number to the biggest one is 58. And there we go. So I'm going to find the mean on this one first. So I'm going to go in between these values and just put a little plus sign because we do need to find the actual sum of all of these values. And then, again, I take to my calculator and just add all these together. So I get from my calculator 854. Then in order to find the mean or the average, I just need to divide this by however many numbers there are. So how many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10. So I will divide this by 10. And after dividing by 10, which I don't really need a calculator for, that's just moving the decimal one time to the left, that'd be 85.4. So an average, or mean, of 85.4. And then we reflect and think about how much fun we just had. But that's not all the fun we get, because now we're going to find the median, and that's also fun. But I'm going to list these in order from least to greatest, but again, it wouldn't matter if you list them in order from greatest to least. So I look at this list and I see, I think 76 to me is the smallest one here. So I write down 76, mark it, make sure it's been used. Then there's 77, whoops, 77 there, and then 78 here. And it looks like we go into the 80s, so that's 81. It's like this lowest 80s value, then 84. There's 81 and 84. Oh, there's two 84s. There's another 84. And that's all the 80s. So let's go to the 90s. There is a 90 and a 91 and a 95 and finally a 98. There we go. I listed all these in order from leastest to greatestest. And now I just need to find the middle. So I kind of cancel out the ends of these values here. So 76 and 98, 77 and 95, 78 and 91, 81 and 90, and right there in the middle, 84 and 84. Well, that's the same number, but I'm still going to show you how to find the median if there's two values. So if these two values were different, although these ones are the same, you'd want to take the two values, in this case 84 and 84, you add them together and always divide by 2 because you only have ever two numbers. And this will give you the number that's right smack in the middle of those two numbers, which in this case, I mean, I'll show more work than anyone would want on this, but probably because I enjoy it more than I should. But that's 168 over 2. So we're going to divide that by 2, that's 84. And so we see that's the number that's the same number, 84 and 84, which means the number that would be right in between these 84s would also be, well, 84. Because there is no distance between the two. So there is our median. Next up, I will find our mode. And there's only one number that occurred more than once. That's the 84 again. So we're going to make the mode also 84. And then the range, where we take the largest of the numbers, which in this case is 98, and we subtract the smallest of the numbers, which is 76, use a calculator if you need to, but it looks like we get 22 as our range. Use the data in the tables below, round to the nearest tenth if necessary, which we will do and have been doing. So we got, looks like we got lake depth, and then Matthias's class is just number of students. Okay. Well, what is the mean lake depth? So we're just looking specifically at this table. We'll get to this one, I suppose, with some of the other questions. But the mean lake depth. So mean is the average. So we're going to take all of these values in the list, and we're going to add them together. So it's already kind of stacked for us. So I'm just going to put that in the calculator, though I'm not going to do it by hand, although you're welcome to if you like. So 1,333 plus 923 plus 750 plus 210 plus 802. Let's type that in wrong. So this gives me a sum of 4,018. Then to finish off the mean, all I need to do is divide that by how many numbers there are, and there are 5. So I divide by 5 in my calculator. It's already given me a value to the tenths, which is 803.6. Of course, we'll label that in feet as well, but this right here is our mean lake depth. What is Miss Matthias's mean class size? Let's find out. So we're going to add all these together and divide that, whatever we get from the sum, by, looks like 7 classes there. So 28 plus 35 plus 39er plus 27 plus 25 plus 40 plus 34. Enter. Yeah, that's a 238 right there. Thank you. Now we're still going to solve it the same way though. So 238 here. And then there are still 7 values though. So 238 divided by 7, that's going to change the answer there. 238 divided by 7 is 34. So that came out clean. So there's no real need to round this to the nearest tenth. So 34 right there. Class size. All right. So the lake depth range, once again, you're going to take the biggest of the 5 values there for the lakes, 1,333, and the smallest of them, 210. I wish I would have remembered my answer though. I'll just put it in the calculator this time.
1123.
Thank you. 1,123 feet of difference between the lakes. Again, I will put the label on that one. So it says then, what is the median class size of Miss Matthias's classes? Well, let's find out here. I'm going to first put these in order from least to greatest, right? So we can see them in order. And I see the smallest number that I see here is 27. I'll stack them this time as well. 27 and then 28. So I used up these two. And then 34 looks like is next. And then 35er. 2 35s. Then 39. And then 40. So I say the top and the bottom. The next top and bottom. Remember, I'm just working my way towards the middle. And yeah, there's a odd number of values here, so the median's right in the middle. It's the middle number there, which is 35. So I'm going to write 35. And since we know the label for this one will be 35 students as a median. Now you see that this is kind of like 3 real comparisons of center of values. And so based on what you're trying to communicate, whether it's deception or truthfulness, of course you can use different values and then pretty much skew people's reality here and force them to think essentially what you want to think. And this is why statistics is known. I think it was Mark Twain that said there's lies, darn lies, so, although he didn't say darn, and statistics. So statistics is one way to really manipulate people's brains. Whatever the statistic is, you should always be asking questions. Lots and lots of questions, because usually it's being manipulated, even though the people who are publishing it may try to be not purposefully manipulative. Here, Mr. Hilton bowls in a league. The following is a list of games he has bowled so far. Some pretty good scores there. And what does his average mean? What is the median? Okay. Well, to find the first part of A, the mean, all we're going to do is take all those values and add them together. So instead of rewriting these, just to save a little bit of time, it's going to go in between and put some plus signs in there. Plus, 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 because all these values I can just plug into a calculator. And yes, you've seen that it is possible to make mistakes on calculators, which I have done already. But it's probably more accurate than me trying to relist these. It should at least save some time, at least if I do it right. So 193 plus 192 plus 145 plus 205 plus 171 plus 173 plus 158 plus 166 plus 172. Enter. And if I've done this correct, then the sum of these values, I got 1,575. Okay, so we checked on that one, and then we say, well, we're going to divide this by how many values there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 9 values there. I just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 9 values. Okay, so 1575 divided by old niner, and we get exactly 175. It's a pretty good average. Well, for me it is. So his average is a solid 175 score on this. But then it says to find the median. So now we got to actually rewrite these values in order from least to greatest. So, well, let's do that. If I can figure out a way to do this in a good way. So I see the lowest value here is 145, so I'm going to cross that out, 145. And then just scanning these more, I got 158 next, it looks like. And then 166. Then 171. Almost said 172. Then 172, there we go. 71, 172, and 173. Here, and 192. $193, and then a 205 value. So I think I got all of those in there. It's final 3. Okay, so the median is right in the middle. So just need to find the number that's, well, right in the middle. 145 and 205 essentially cancel each other out. Same with 158 and 193, 166 and 192, 173 and 171. And the number right in the middle here is 172, so that would be our median. All right, part B, Mr. Hilton's next game is terrible. He bowled only a 70, which for some of us is pretty good. So we need to recalculate his mean and median. Oh, okay. So to this list up here at the top, I would just add another 70 right there. And I mean, you could add the same 70 to this list as well, and just put 70 right here, and then add it to that. Now, I'm not going to add all those values because we already know the sum that we had before. So for me, I'm just going to take the sum we had before at 1575, and we're adding another score, which is, well, 70. Now, since I want the mean first, which I will do here, I guess I'll do the final answer here in purple. Now there's not 9 values, because we added another one, now there is 10. So I take 1575 plus 70, and I get 1645. Then you divide that by 10, that's just moving the decimal one spot. So that'd be a 164.5 score. A new average if he bowls a 70 on the next game. But then it also wants the median. So I go back to the list that we had already. And we'll just kind of look at these from the edges, right? And work our way inwards. So 70, give myself some space here. 70 and 70, 145, 193, 158, 192, 166, 173. And now with the second set, we have 2 values right in the middle, which are 171 and 172. Now again, technically would say we'd add these together and divide by 2, or you could find the number that's right in the middle of those 2, which is just halfway between, so that'd be 171.5. That would be his new median. So we see the median used to be 172, and a new score didn't take it down that much, but the mean did. So we see that new values introduced, if they're kind of on the extreme, can definitely change means, but don't change the medians so much sometimes. So which one changed more? Yep, the mean did. Why do you think this is? Because the mean includes 70 as one of the values in the sum, whereas the median is only looking at the location of the value in the list in order from least to greatest. And that does create a huge difference. And so you can see, really by definition, these two can be manipulated really, really badly, depending on what you want people to think. 26 here, the local wildlife club is doing a survey where they count the number of squirrels observed in different parks. Here are the results. So we want to find the mean and median for this number of squirrels observed. And then it looks like part B, we're going to add 3 more parks, and we'll figure out new mean and medians for those. So let's go ahead and look. First thing I would want for the mean, first I'm going to find the mean. Mark it. What the heck? Let's find our mean. So to find the mean, first thing I'm going to want to do is add these, looks like 5 values together. And that will give me the sum for the mean. So 12 plus 11, 23, 33, 39, 40, 50. Oh, that's nice. Came out very nice. It's a sum of 50, I guess squirrels. So the mean will be 50, that's the sum, and divided by the 5 values we've seen, which would give us a mean of 10. So on average, it appears that the number of squirrels observed in these parks or clubs, whatever the crap this is, would be 10 squirrels. And yes, this is a word problem, so I will label it in squirrels. And squirrel, 2 R's, there we go. And that is our mean. But then it says to find the median. Okay, well, we just list these in order from leastest to greatest. At least that's the way I do it. So the leastest is 6, then 10. We got 2 11s and a 12. And the number right in the middle, I'm just going to show this process. I know with smaller amounts it may not be necessary for you, but I'm just going to show it anyways. Looks like the number right in the middle here is 11. So the median appears to be 11 squirrels. Boom. That was nice because it was a fairly small list, but it says the data contained in the table, if you calculate the new mean, and we'll find the new median as well. Let's figure out what it does, what these values do to the mean. Now it says to predict what's going to happen, and just so we understand what an average is, our average currently is 10 squirrels, they're in purple. And we're adding values that are smaller than that 10 squirrels, which means that it should lower the mean, okay? And we'll see how it affects the median as well, even though it didn't ask for it, but it's good practice. So our mean, let's find a new mean. This one. Actually, for me, all I'm going to do here is take the original sum, so I don't have to actually add those again. And that original sum was 50. And I'm going to add these 3 new values, which is 2, 5, and 5. Oh, not commas. But now when I divide, I'm going to divide by 8. And this will give us a new mean. So when I add those values together, looks like we get 62, all divided by 8. And I'm going to go and put this in the calculator so I don't have to think about it too much. I get 7.75. So just like we thought it would, because these numbers are lower than what was the current mean, we get a lower number of values. So this is a 7.75 squirrels. And what does 0.75 squirrels look like? I don't know. But if you were anticipating looking at squirrels in the future at parks, then it looks like you'd expect to see around 7.75 based on this information. Now, another thing though, like we've been talking about, is you see how it is possible to change data and change averages. So can averages change? Yes, they can, if you're willing to look for more information. And while this one changed, I would say that's quite drastically on this one. That's why they say, well, the more people or the more of these you observe or survey, then it's likely that the numbers are more accurate, which is true. But you must be very careful because, again, it's very easy to use these types of numbers to manipulate people. Like this one, we could say, well, that's a drastic decrease in squirrels. And so are the squirrels dying everywhere? I don't know. But it should raise several questions, at least several questions, when you see data changes. If you're not willing to look into the actual results and where the results came from, then you probably shouldn't trust the information no matter what it is, okay? So, there's our mean. And by the way, averages are used quite extensively in advertising and, of course, politics, which should worry you. But advertising uses it so that they can understand how to get you to buy things without having to work so hard at it, which, again, should be quite concerning because, well, politics uses it for the same reason. Now, we had our median already. I still need the same list, though, okay? So that was 6. If I can get this to work. Stinking technology. Here, I got, we had 6, 10, 2 11s, and a 12. But these other values that we just found are smaller, right? We got 2 5s and a 2 right here. So, in order to find my median, I got to find the middle. So I would cancel out the 2 and 12, the 5 and the 11, just working towards the middle here, 5 and 11. And see here, we got 2 values again, which is good. We got 6 and 10 right here, right in the middle. So I got to find the median of those two. Now, you could say, because this is kind of an easy values right here, 6 and 10, what number's right smack in the middle of 6 and 10? Or, yeah, and it is 8, that's true. It's just, I'm going to use the formula for it because some of you may not have had that as quick. So we're going to add those 2 values, just divide by 2. This would be 16 divided by 2, which is 8. I ran out of space, so I'm going to put the answer below it, squirrels. Boom. Yeah, so there's our objective again. I can calculate mean, median, mode, and range.